Hey guys, Fallout Lover here, back with another Fallout video, and today I'm here to say I think you should be excited for the future of Fallout 76. We just had the PTS update last night, and they added Nuka World on Tor to the testing servers, and it was really fun. I have a lot to say about that, but also about the future of Fallout 76 in general. I know other YouTubers are covering this, but I just wanted to give a more why you should be excited for the future, not just this update in particular. So if you have not played Nuka World on Tor on the PTS, or you don't want spoilers, this will contain spoilers. I will also be talking about the content we've also received throughout this year. So if you haven't played any of that either, that is also another warning. So without further ado, let's start talking about why you should be excited for the future of this game. This video will be broken up into 4 parts: an overview of the content from this year, and then a second part discussing why that content is actually pretty much a big deal, and then a third part which will be going over what we could see for the future of Fallout 76, pretty much a speculation part, but I will try my best to be reasonable, and then a fourth part which is pretty much just me discussing Nuka World on Tor. That update is really great, so I wanted to give that one its own section because that one honestly did blow me away when I played it, so stay tuned for that one if you want to hear about that. So let's talk about what was added this year. The first things that we got were events, loads of them. Even though I have not started talking about Nuka World on Tor, I will give you a slight spoiler. There are 4 new events with that update, so that's a pretty sizable amount. We also have received the Invaders from Beyond event, which I consider one event, although it has 6 different locations it can happen, so I guess you can consider it 6 different events, although it's the same thing each time, so I'll let you interpret that one. And then we also had Test Your Metal, which was 3 more events. So if you don't count Invaders from Beyond as 6 different events, we've had 8 in total this year, which is actually a pretty sizable amount, considering the overall. I think we only have like 20, like a early 20s number amount of events. So there is a pretty sizable amount of events added this year. Whether you enjoy them or not, the next thing that was added was expeditions, which personally, I'm in the boat of absolutely loving these. I really enjoy them. I want to see what they could do with them moving forward. But for now, we're just going to give a light overview of the expeditions. So pretty much, they're these little tiny missions that take you outside of Appalachia for about, I mean, everyone says you can complete it in like 10, 20 minutes. I mean, you can if you're rushing through it. But if you want to take your time, you can explore these. You can spend as much time here as you want. So these aren't really like 20-minute playthroughs on your first time. You can spend a few hours here, and there's 2 missions. I only have Union Dues footage, but there is an entirely second one that's pretty good. I do recommend trying both of them out. They're both really fun if you like this style of content. If not, maybe you want to wait till we get some more story content, but for the most part, expeditions are really fun. But even if you want to treat them like each mission is one small quest line, it'll keep you occupied for a little while. Even the White Spring Resort itself got updated, and there's actually a lot there to do as well, such as every day you have a little interaction, like 2 people bickering, or someone wants you to go fix a Protectron, and stuff like that, little small things that do tie the little world interactions together, and I do enjoy that. There's a lot there, and it took me a while to see literally everything. There is a lot more to the expedition update than everyone was pretty much saying when it was in the PTS phase, because when this game came out, there was so much more content that I did not hear about because everyone who covered the PTS kind of just glossed over some of this stuff. So there was really a lot of content here. The next big thing, which you could probably tell by watching the background footage here, the automatic melee weapons got a complete facelift, and they're amazing. Here, let me show you a clip, and you'll see just what I'm talking about. If you have not tried these things out, I cannot stress enough, you definitely should check these out. These they feel like a new weapon type, because pretty much in Fallout 4 we only had the Ripper and the Mr. Andy Buzzblade. The Mr. Andy Buzzblade was a automatron weapon, so it was from a DLC. So we really just had the Ripper, which it was kind of an underwhelming weapon. Same thing with the Mr. Andy Buzzblade. So chances are you probably just skipped out on these if you played Fallout 4. But let me tell you, they're amazing. The auto axe and the chainsaw cut through everything like butter. So I really do recommend giving these a try. They're pretty much on par with the Basher minigun. The Basher minigun might slightly still be better, but these things are considered two-handed melee weapons. Well, some of them. Some of them are also one-handed. Like the drill is a one-handed, and the auto axe is a two-handed, for examples. And you can still use like super sledges and sledgehammers, shish kebabs. You can still use those, and you could just use the drill and the auto axe depending on which hand you're using, if you're using two hands or one hand. So they're pretty good weapons. I really do recommend you give them a try. They really are insane weapons. They can do a lot of damage really quick. So once again, I cannot stress enough, give them a try. And our last major thing we're going to be talking about for this section is bug fixes. Bethesda's been really good with bug fixes this year. They fixed a really, really big one with the energy damage just not being correct. So now any elemental weapon like fire damage, cryo damage, electric damage, they do the correct amount of damage now, which is great. Meaning the laser rifle, plasma rifle, anything that was an energy type weapon, it kind of pretty much got buffed or fixed. Legitimately, it would be fixed, but I like to think of it as a buff because, I mean, they're stronger now, so they are also really solid weapons. The Enclave plasma rifle is pretty solid. It might not be the easiest weapon to get a good version of because, you know, the attachments are kind of whatever. You just get what you get. You can't actually put attachments on them except for the prime receiver, but overall, they're pretty solid weapons. The Tesla rifle's a god tier weapon. That thing's an absolute must-have if you're doing automatics. The Alien Disintegrator is even really good, although I'm going to be honest, I don't actually remember if that did energy damage or not, so that might be a pretty bad example. But the energy weapons overall are pretty good now, and also they've been on a roll with bug fixes this year. They've been doing some pretty good ones. I don't really have too many examples offhand, so you're just going to have to take my word for it on that one. But if you do look back through the patch notes throughout 2022, we've had some pretty good bug fixes. So this is the part of the video where we're going to be talking about what we could see in the future. This is not the speculation part. This is actually stuff that does have some claims to back it up here. So our first one is expeditions. Once again, whether you like them or hate them, they're a pretty solid update. So if we do continue to get more expeditions, which we are, Bethesda announced that they do want to do more of these, I am very excited to see. I think it would be really cool if we had maybe longer expeditions or harder expeditions that maybe you definitely did not want to do solo. Maybe you wanted to have multiple people, like at least two players. There is a part in Union Dues where you have to unlock lockers with a 0 level lock, which I think maybe, since these are recommended for level 50, they make some of those a bit harder. So maybe instead you have to actually have certain perks. Like maybe you have to actually have rank 3 of lockpicking. Otherwise you're going to have to rely on teammates or just come back later. These do save, so you could technically do that. If you're like a level 100 and have like 6 level ups, you literally could just spend them there. But if not, maybe you have to come back, level up a bit. And I think that would be cool. So they're not just, you know, you get in and out. You do actually kind of have to be a little bit stronger and not just pretty much a mindless mercenary. So with Expeditions and Nuka World on tour, both of these updates, well, unless something changes, which it still technically could, but from what we have been hearing about recently, it does sound like both of these updates will actually have seasons that are themed around them. When Expeditions came out, we had the Steel City season, which is actually a pretty solid season. I like the rewards overall, but most importantly, it is actually Pittsburgh themed, you know, it's not like, oh yeah, welcome to Pittsburgh, we're gonna have a Vault Tech DLC, or my absolute favorite, the Brotherhood of Steel stuff. Hey, we're introducing the Brotherhood of Steel, let's add a time traveler, because that's, you know, totally related to the Brotherhood of Steel here. Like, don't get me wrong, the comic book stuff wasn't terrible, but I think they over-relied on it. Like, Katie Inkwell, I don't even know who she is. I think she's literally on, like, one magazine. Like, the Captain Cosmos one was fine, because it was the first one, and they just kind of went downhill from there. I mean, Armor Ace was, I mean, I guess it was cool. It was a bit military-ish themed, but other than maybe those three, I'm gonna be honest, the seasons really have not really, they're just not that great. I don't really care for the comic book things. I mean, don't get me wrong, the rewards are fine, and they usually do some pretty solid rewards, but the themes overall are just, they're just not my favorite. They're not really what I'm looking forward to. But if we actually have themes that are themed around the actual update, such as Pittsburgh and Nuka-Cola for the Nuka World on Tour update, they will make me care a little bit more, because it's like, okay, I'm actually playing the update, and I'm actually earning stuff related to the update. So, hopefully we see more of this in the future. I would love to. If we don't get more seasons themed around the actual update itself, it doesn't matter, I'm going to grind them out anyways, but still, it would be more enjoyable to have the feeling of like, oh wow, I actually like understand what this is about. Not some time-traveling agent. Like, what? Why do we have two Katie Inkwell seasons? The first one wasn't even great. Why did we get a second one? Not to mention the second one was also the one that introduced Dolphin Power Armor, so I rest my case. Now, if we're talking about the PTS stuff, the first thing I want to mention is the PTS got a change. So now the way they're going to do things is have it up for a week, and then they're going to take it down for a week, and during that week they're going to apply feedback, fixing bugs, or maybe smoothing, polishing, or adding new stuff, which I think is nice. If it works out well, this could mean more polished experiences, and if it's already polished, which, I mean, come on, this is a Bethesda game, it probably won't be polished first try, but we'll see what happens. We could maybe have the developers in their downtime fix some bugs that aren't actually related to the new update, and maybe some past ones. So overall, we could get some smoother experiences and more bug fixes, which I'm pretty excited for. I think the PTS change is a pretty welcome one. I just hope they don't take it offline for a week and then make it come up the next week with no changes, because then that'd be pretty lame, because that defeats the purpose of it. I mean, maybe like the one or two closest to the actual release date, but until then, every single time they take the PTS down, I'm going to expect at least 3 or 4 bug changes, or just changes in general. Because really, during that week, I mean, come on, you guys have time. You definitely should be able to get something out. And the absolute last thing that I want to mention for this segment, before I actually get into my Nuka World on Tour rant, where I pretty much talk about that for however long I end up talking about that. I haven't recorded it yet, so I don't know. I just want to say, Double 11 knocked it out of the freaking park. The Nuka World on Tour update is honestly, it's good. It is a really good update. I do recommend coming back when that one comes out, but we'll get to that one later. But I just wanted to mention that because they are part of Fallout 76 now, and they can put out some pretty decent content. Like, they did really good with Nuka World on Tour. So I do have some high expectations for the future now. They definitely really, like, I didn't really have the highest expectations for Nuka World on Tour. I mean, I thought it was going to be a bit smaller, and Expeditions was going to be the only major DLC of this year, but no, it sounds like Nuka World on Tour will be a really decent size update. From what I've played, there is so much content on the PTS, and I mean, they can still add stuff, polish stuff, we'll just have to see, but there really is a lot there. But for now, I just want to say I love what they're doing. I like the update. It's a good one. And the best part is it is actually not a limited time event, even though it says it is Nuka World on Tour. It is actually going to be permanent. It will be staying. So you don't have to worry about this one being like a 2-week event. No, this one will stay. You can come and go as you please. There is going to be a decent sized chunk of content, but once again, we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. So, Double 11's been pretty good. Last thing I have to say for this segment. Alright, now for our second to last section, we're going to be talking about speculation. Now, this is entirely based off of what I think, based off of what has been happening recently with this game, what we could see with the future. Everything I say could come true, and everything I say could not come true, so I cannot confirm or deny. I don't actually work at Bethesda, so I don't know what goes on over there. So this is all stuff that I personally believe could be added, and that's pretty much it. So if this stuff doesn't happen, you can't hold it against me, and if it does happen, then you still can't hold it against me. I don't know. So the first thing I want to talk about is we did not have any story updates this year. This is the first year where we had no quests, like, whatsoever. So next year could honestly be the inverse. We could get tons of quests. We could get little quests. Once again, we don't know. Next year's roadmap has not been shown yet. So we could honestly get like a Steel Rain sized one where it's like 4 hours. Or we could get a pretty decent sized one since we didn't get one this year. That could be maybe 8 to 10 hours. So I would like to see that, but we'll just have to wait and see. To build off of what I talked about earlier, and also rumors that I've been hearing quite a bit about recently, we could have a balance pass for this game, and I would love to see that. There are some weapons in this game that, I don't want to say they're really strong, like way stronger than they need to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some really strong weapons. I mean, the Plasma Caster comes to mind. I think it's an absolute monster, but there's definitely a lot of weapons in this game that could use some love, like the bows, the Tommy gun. I mean, like, those things are kind of trash. I mean, you can use them, but you're gonna struggle. Not the best. You gotta kind of go out of your way to really get all the attachments and then get some really good legendary effects, because without legendary effects, oh my god, you're not gonna be using the bows. If you can use the bows without legendary effects, I salute you. Those are pain. So there's a lot of weapons that could use a buff. Pistols primarily, they buff the auto melee weapons, so I mean, yeah, we could see more buffs in the future to some of those underutilized weapons. Revolvers are even kind of weakish, so I think maybe having like an explosive buff too, to where explosive weapons just have natural armor penetration. Not the explosive effect, just the explosive weapons like the Fat Man, because you can hit something with a Fat Man and it just will not feel it because the Fat Man does just regular physical energy. Or I'm sorry, not energy, just regular physical damage, even though I think explosion is technically its own damage type. And I think that's kind of stupid. I mean, like, dude, it's a Fat Man. You should not be able to just walk that off. So I think maybe having explosive damage as its own damage type would be cool. And also like an indicator, because once again, I think it already is, but like you can't tell because it's got the same symbol as ballistics, so I actually don't know on that one. So hopefully we do get a balance pass. That would be a really, really welcome change. I would love to see that. That'd be amazing. Especially with, once again, another example, and my last example for now, the Ultra Sight laser gun. That thing is just, if you've used it, you know, that thing's actual trash. So a balance pass would be really cool. So now that expeditions are officially out, we could see some potentially bigger updates, since I think expeditions kind of sucked up some of the time that went into some of the other updates, because last year was an absolute slog of a year for this game, and I do think the reason we only had so little content was because they put a lot of their effort into expeditions. Now, I could be wrong on that one. I know they were also plucking people for Starfield, which we will talk about here in a second, but I think there could be a possibility we could get some bigger updates next year because of the fact that with expeditions, the harder part's already done, so unless we're going to be getting even more newer original content, like outside of expeditions, like if we get something even bigger than that, but unless that happens, we could be getting some bigger / faster, well, not really faster, they're kind of on a schedule, but we could be getting some bigger content drops. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. And now for the last part of the speculation section. They could potentially, now I don't actually know if they can do this since I am not actually on a development team, so I do not know how they handle things over there. But when Starfield comes out, instead of going directly into Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5, they could put the Elder Scrolls people back onto Elder Scrolls 6, and they could potentially, my favorite word of the day right now, put the Fallout team back on 76 for a bit before going on to Fallout 5. Now, once again, I don't know if they could even do that. I don't know if you're allowed to put people back on the original game they're working on. They probably can. If they can do that, I would assume they might put some people back on Fallout 76. Maybe not everyone, but I would assume they'd put a handful of people back if they could do that. If not, maybe they could go straight into Fallout 5 or just straight up keep them for the entirety of the DLC cycle for Starfield. Although I don't think for a DLC season of a game you need the full team. You should be able to get away with just a decent chunk of the team. So I do think there could be a chance that after Starfield comes out, we could get some people returning back to 76. Or they could potentially just start working on Fallout 5. So that's pretty much about it for all I have to say on the topic. The only thing I have left is to rant about Nuka World on tour, which will come up next. So if this is all you wanted to hear and you did not want to hear my Nuka World on tour rant, I would like to thank you for watching. I appreciate it if you made it this far, and I hope to see you guys all next time. But if you do want to stick around, then, without further ado, here is my rant. So real quick, I should probably start by saying my rant is not negative in the slightest, so if you're expecting my rant to mean I had a lot of negative stuff to say, you are mistaken. There is so much content in Nuka World on tour that I literally could sit here and talk about it for hours, which, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of have. I talk to myself sometimes, so, and also, if you talk to yourself sometimes too, don't worry, it's normal, or at least I like to think it is. So, there is a lot here with Nuka World on tour. We have 4 new events, which I alluded to earlier, and they are not like, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not the biggest events. They're decent size, but they are, well, there's a lot of them. So, well, you know, compared to what we've seen in previous years, I think Wild Appalachia only had, let me see, how many was it? 3? I think we had 3 with Wild Appalachia, or 4. So this is definitely, if you really like events, this is for you. There is a lot here. We're also getting, and this is one of my favorite parts, brand new weapons. Somewhat. I don't know if you would consider them brand new. They're like the fixer. I mean, they're not really new. They're like reskins, but they're not really reskins. They're just kind of like a variant. We have unique weapons. They're not actually new. The only new weapon is the, oh god, what's it called? I forget. The Nuka Zapper. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. The squirt gun. That thing is an absolute blast. I have not actually been able to shoot it yet since the ammo is kind of a bit more on the expensive side. So that one actually might be a bit of a rarer weapon to see, because I think it's kind of like the Fat Man, where you're definitely going to have to work for it. I mean, each ammo, and if you do want to prepare for Nuka World on tour, I really recommend saving your Nuka Cola, Nuka Cherry, and Nuka Cola Quantum, specifically Quantum, since it's the best one. That's a fact. It's the best one in terms of damage. I don't care if you like cherry flavored better than whatever Quantum tastes like. I'm just giving you a heads up. The Quantum does the most damage. It does some really good damage. Like, I am literally level 15. I don't have a character on the PC version, so I had to kind of start over. I literally have a level 15 character and was able to get that thing to do over 500 damage. Or at least the Pip-Boy says it does over 500 damage. I don't even have it maxed out yet. I don't know if it takes the pistol perks. I probably should have checked that one, but I know it definitely takes the explosive perks. So that thing definitely does a lot of damage. So that thing will probably easily go over 600 or 700 damage, and I do believe you can roll it. Once again, I did not get far enough to roll it, but it does have the option to, I think, like the menu to roll it is there. I just didn't have modules. So this thing is, it's a pretty cool weapon. I love this thing. If you've not played it in Nuka World from Fallout 4, you're gonna have a blast with this thing. It's an absolute fun. But it shoots explosive Nuka Cola Quantum. What more do you want? It's just dumb fun. And that's what I gotta say about most of the update. It's just dumb fun, and I love it. You're not going to be having any serious quest lines. It's literally just 3 new really wacky, zany events, and a bunch of new rewards. Like, especially if you're a camp builder. There are so many new rewards. There's definitely over 30 camp build items. Like, that's just a rough estimate. There are so freaking many things you could build. Like, I'm still unlocking new stuff, and I'm like, dude, how much stuff is there? And then there's an arcade. I mean, you can play the games in the arcade. One of the best things about the arcade is you can earn points, which, I mean, yeah, it's another currency, but this is a currency that you're not capped at. Well, there's a cap on how much you can have, which is 100,000 points, which, I mean, it's a pretty decent-sized chunk of points. I mean, if you hit that, you definitely do need to spend it. But there is a decent amount of rewards you can get with the points. They're not too expensive. I think the most expensive one I saw was 20,000, which was the plan for the recipe for the Nuka Zapper ammo, like the weaponized Nuka Cola Quantum and stuff like that. So that, I think, like I said, was the most expensive one I saw. I could be wrong. There could be some I haven't seen. I don't know if they have a reset timer, so maybe there are some limitations. But for the most part, you can just come and go as you please. You can play the games whenever you want. There's no cap. Each game takes 1 cap to play, which I don't know how you can fit a cap into a slot machine, but you know what? It works. You can play them, and I love them. They're really fun to play. There's the duck shooting one, which was from Fallout 4's Nuka World if you played it. There is the Whack-A-Commie, which is another really fun one, although I don't really guess that's never really been one of my favorites, but I mean, it's whack-a-mole. It's a pretty iconic one. And then there's a new one, which is called Bottle Blaster, which I don't really know how to explain, but you hit something like a scale, and you have to get something to go up and ring a bell. Pretty much like a strength test, if you know what I'm talking about. That's kind of the best I can explain it. And then my absolute favorite, which is also my least favorite from Fallout 4, the one where you have to take the thirst zapper and shoot the target and make the bottle go up. Now, I did not like this in Fallout 4 because, yeah, I don't know, it just wasn't fun. But in this game, you can play it with up to 5 other players. You can literally challenge your friends to a game of shooting a target to make the bottle go up the fastest. And that is so fun. I just love it. The fact that you can play them with other players is so fun. You can even unlock the plans to build them at your own camp. So overall, really solid update, plus we're getting a new region boss, which is a pretty solid one. I mean, everyone with legacies kind of kills it, like, instantly, but it's pretty fun for, you know, what hasn't been killed in about 2 minutes. So, once again, there's a lot here that I really do think could be enjoyed. And back to the weapon things like I was talking about earlier, even though there's not new weapons, there are weapon variants. So outside of the Whacker Smacker, which is a super sledge, every other unique gun has a unique attribute. So this will be similar to Eviction Notice. Whenever you complete events, you will have a chance to get a random weapon. They are guaranteed you will get something. And for the most part, all of them, once again, except for the Whacker Smacker, because that thing just kind of sucks. I really hope that thing gets a buff, because it's the only boring weapon. They all have an attribute. So there's a broadsider that shoots fireworks, there's a revolver that's red and it shoots 45 ammo instead of 44, there's a lever action which has an increased ammo capacity, a submachine gun, I love for the submachine gun, which does 20% more damage, which is pretty solid, a bow that does fire damage, which, if I'm not mistaken, you can already get. I think you can put fire arrows on them, I could be wrong, but I would love to see if you could put like explosive ammo on there and then have like an incendiary grenade effect, pretty much. That'd be pretty cool if that's something you could do. Once again, I don't have a character on PC, so I can't actually test that one out, and I might have to go to someone else. But for the most part, there's a lot of content here. I could still talk about this for hours, but that's pretty much the small gist of it. If you couldn't tell already, Double 11 knocked it out of the park with this update, and I really do hope that they get free reign of their own update in the future. Like maybe once a year they just have their own update towards the end of the year, because what a way to go out with a bang. This year was an absolute monster of a year for Fallout 76 in the good direction, and also because of the Double 11 update being so good, this could actually be the first time where we've had everything on the roadmap in Fallout 76 without anything getting delayed into the next year, which will be really massive, and once again another big step in the right direction. I really hope that is what happens. I do not want this one to get delayed. If it gets delayed, I will be very sad, because, yeah, like, I kind of want to go play it right now. It is really fun. Once again, there's an arcade, which, I mean, come on, you could play the arcade games. It's so cool. I love playing them, especially against other players, so that's about all I have for this video. I appreciate you all for watching. If you listened through my entire rant, I extra appreciate you for watching. I am unsure if you guys actually care about whether or not I voiced my opinion. That is the first time I've actually done something like that in one of these videos. So if my opinion is something you guys value and would like to see more of, let me know. Because there are some video concepts I do have that I could do, but once again, I'm not really the biggest YouTuber, so I kind of held back on those. I don't really know if I'm a big enough YouTuber to where my opinion matters yet, so I kind of held off on those. But if you do like this little segment of where I just kind of voice my own opinion, let me know. I could totally do more. Like, I could do like an opinionated series, pretty much. There's a lot of things I have opinions on in this game. And they're not like negative ones, no, they're more like how you can improve. Like, if you want to see a series on me going over a topic in 76 and then going over how I would personally like to see it improved, something like that. If that's stuff you guys want to see, let me know. But also, once again, thanks for watching. I had a lot of fun making this video, because I got to talk about Nuka World on Tour and Expeditions, which are two really fun updates. I absolutely love these two updates, and I cannot wait till Nuka World on Tour makes it to the live game. I wish Double 11 best of luck, and same thing with Bethesda. They have had a pretty solid year for this game, so I would like to see it continue into next year. So, for real this time, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day, or night, or evening, or morning, whenever you're watching this. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, or night.